So with what you're sharing, though, how common is that? It sounds so like ideal,
Utopia.
and
I know.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
it sounds rare.
Again, there's no one who's 100% secure,
Sure.
but people lean secure or they lean this way, they lean that way. Like we all have wounding, we all have micro traumas. Some of us have bigger traumas, right?
Mhm.
The studies suggest that it's I've seen studies say between 40 and 60. 40 and 60% of the population in North America have a secure attachment. I think
Mm.
60 is way too high.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
But with social studies, it's self-reported.
Oh.
And
Mhm.
so I tend to think we're probably falling closer to the 40.
Well, is there such a thing as overly attuned, right? Like the parents who are attempting to raise securely attached kids that overdo it.
So that's an excellent point, right? There's a real difference between consistent, safe attunement and indulgence,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
It's like the difference between, uh, eating until you're full and gluttony,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
Like overdoing it, right?
Hmm.
So you have one bowl of pasta, you're full, versus eating until you throw up. There's a
Yeah.
big difference there, right? So
Uh-huh.
the idea here is that it's not to give in to the child's every whim. I'm very careful when I talk about this. I'm a mother. I have two children away at college now.
Wow.
I
Uh-huh.
know it's a beautiful thing, but I know as a mother, I made plenty of mistakes. Was I always emotionally attuned to my kids? No. But I
Yeah.
tried to provide a sense of consistency and predictability. That's what
Okay.
gives the child a feeling of safety, right?
Mhm.
So the child knows that if they come to me, they can pretty accurately predict how I'm going to respond to the situation.
Understood. Okay. And I
Yeah.
have two young boys. They're 5 and nearly
Oh,
8. So
oh.
this is the thick of it. And now I'm like, oh, I like missed the window of their attachment style.
No, you
There
didn't.
is that part that kind of freaks me out.
You didn't miss any window. Trust
Okay.
me. Everything you do from here on in and from the beginning, I can sense already the type of mother that you would be: loving, nurturing, and that's really what the kids need, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about insecure attachment because I think this will assuage, some of the feelings of did I do enough, did I not? Because really,
Yeah.
we're talking about specific circumstances that kids live through, right? So when we're talking about children who grew up and have an insecure attachment, they didn't receive emotional attunement. They also didn't receive consistency or any predictability, right? Which means that the parents were there sometimes, sometimes not. It wasn't a stable frame,
Okay.
right? And a lot of people think that a good parent is I gave you a roof over your head, I gave you 3 meals a day. You went to school. You had clean clothes.
You
But
needed for nothing.
yeah, but
Yeah.
emotional, you needed for nothing. But emotional attunement, I wish we taught this in school. I wish that people understood how important it is for us as humans and our development. It really is critical. So just because you had 3 meals a day doesn't mean you got what you needed from your parents. Right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're starting to understand a little bit more. So if we're going to go back now to the insecure, we're talking about those three subcategories, and we'll start with the anxious attacher. The anxious attacher really didn't have in their childhood predictable love. Usually, what they had was something where they had moments of love and then the moment was taken away. So, this could be so many different scenarios, right? There could have been a parent who was away from home often because they had to work, and the child
Mm-hmm.
felt like they were being abandoned. They
Mm-hmm.
perceived that they were being abandoned, right? It could be a parent, for example, who had an alcohol problem or a drug problem. It could be, a parent who was emotionally unavailable, who just couldn't connect with their child. There's so many different scenarios whereby a parent doesn't connect fully emotionally with the child, but the child learns love enough to understand that this is what they desire, and then they spend those years chasing after it. So they know that they want the love from their parents, and they internalize it as, well, if I want my mother, father, caregiver to love me, I'm going to become this perfect little version. I'm going to become really likable. I'm going to be easy to be around. I'm going to help everyone else. I'm never going to be in a bad mood. I'm going to do everything that they say. I'm going to be the teacher's pet because, well, who doesn't like the kid that is so agreeable?
Sure.
The easiest way to be liked is to just not say no.
So how does that work though? Because in the logical mind, it would say, I know what love feels like, and I'm going to want that all of the time. So let me find someone who is emotionally in touch with themselves to be able to provide that for me all the time. So where do the lines get crossed?
Yeah, you really do ask great questions.
Thank you.
So, very good. So, we're talking about the subconscious mind. So, I'm going to go into nerdy mode for a moment. So,
Please.
okay, the subconscious mind governs upwards of 97% of our thoughts, our beliefs, and emotions, and ultimately our behavior.
Wow.
So, and most of the time, we're not aware of our subconscious mind unless we actually bring it into our conscious awareness and we really think about it. So, our conscious awareness governs 3, 4, maybe 5%, right? So, the subconscious mind is really just simply trying to pull you towards what is familiar because it's a survival tactic.
Sure.
We've already lived through this. I know it's familiar. We know how to handle this scenario. So we'll keep going back to a dynamic that we know. Have you ever had this feeling where you met someone and you're like, it just feels so familiar,
Uh-huh. Of
right?
course. Yeah.
That's part of the attraction. What you're saying is this dynamic, I understand this dynamic, I've lived it before. And so if we don't examine that and we don't think about it, that's the direction that we go. When you meet someone who's emotionally safe, right, securely attached, oftentimes that will feel unsafe to you because you haven't experienced this before. You don't
Yeah.
have a template. Your operating system doesn't recognize it. You're like, this is foreign. Like, what is this? And you'll reject it, right? It'll
Yeah.
feel odd to you. And the way that we reject it is very interesting. Like many people, especially on the internet, talk about the ick.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you'll get these moments of the ick where you're like, that doesn't feel good. That's your subconscious mind actually trying to signal you there's a discomfort. Something feels off, something feels wrong. But again, the subconscious mind is just saying, we don't know how to handle this situation. Not that the situation is unsafe, but we confuse those messages. Unfamiliar. Yeah. And so if you truly want to connect with someone who's securely attached and you've never had that type of love in your life, it is going to feel different, foreign, scary. It's going to
Sure.
be unsettling. But just for a period of time until you could sort of acclimate to, okay, this is the new normal, right? But typically what happens is we don't give people that much time. We
Sure.
we don't. Like we
Yeah.
go out on a first date and we go, not for me.
So when somebody's on like dating,
Yeah.
right? What would make them get those like butterflies with some and not others?
Excellent
If they're
question.
familiar?
Um, no, not
Okay.
necessarily if they're familiar. So there's a couple of things. Attraction is science based. I know we
Okay.
tend to think people say you can't help who you're attracted to, which is true to a degree. It is.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, I don't believe that you can't help who you fall in love with, because falling in love is a process of intentional spending time with someone, getting
Mhm.
to know them, and you could choose to not spend time with someone, by which you'll never fall in love with them, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But attraction's different, right? So a couple of things. There's trait variety. Trait variety with this is the whole adage of opposites attract.
Okay.
So this goes back to early humanity. So if I was, like a strong, caveman, and I was resourceful and good at hunting, and you were very nurturing and loving and good at other things, you and I, let's say you were really intelligent, it would make sense for our survival to come
Team
together.
up.
Because if we
Yeah.
teamed up, both of us had a higher likelihood of survival. So that trait
Mm.
variety is actually built into our lizard brain.